everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Shelly's Millions. In today's video, I want to break down a little bit more the 7 added weeks of PUA unemployment and try and clarify a little bit more who gets it and who's not going to get that 7 weeks. So if that's something you'd like to hear, make sure to stick around and watch this video till the end. I also really appreciate all of you, and if you could take a moment and like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share the video with anyone that might find it useful, I would be really thankful for that. If you guys have questions that I haven't been able to answer in the comments, you guys can also reach out to me on Instagram. It's Shelly's_millions, and I'll do my best to answer your questions there. I also do lives every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time to try and get to your questions there. In the EDD news release this past Thursday, October 29th, they announced that they would be giving people on PUA unemployment claims an additional 7 weeks of unemployment benefits, and that seemed to create a lot of confusion, and so I want to try and clear that up in today's video. First, the extra 7 weeks that the EDD announced in this news release, those 7 weeks are only for people on PUA claims. Now, I know a lot of people are not quite sure what kind of claim they have. A PUA claim is traditionally for people who are self-employed. Maybe you were an Uber driver, a Lyft driver, or maybe you were a freelancer, but you're somebody that did 1099 work or you had your own business. If you had W-2 earnings, most likely you are a traditional unemployment claim. There are a few other scenarios where you might be a PUA claim. Maybe you were just out of high school or college and you had a job offer, and then that job shut down due to the pandemic and they were no longer able to offer you employment. You could potentially qualify for PUA even if you didn't have any work history, or if you had just started a job and you didn't have enough earnings with that job to qualify for a regular unemployment claim, you also could potentially be on a PUA claim. One way that you could potentially tell, and this won't be true for everybody, but the PUA program ends on December 31st. So if you look at your claim date, it's going to give you the start date of your claim, and it will give you an end date of your claim unless you're on an extension. So we'll get to that in a moment. But if you're a PUA claim, your end date is going to say 12/31. These additional 7 weeks aren't really anything new. They're not really anything extra. They're not anything on top of your regular benefit. And when I say they're not anything new or anything extra, that's because we've always known that the PUA program could last up to 46 weeks. But the thing is, the EDD originally loaded PUA claims with 39 weeks of funds. So now the news release is really more just telling us how they're going to load those funds onto your claim balance on your UI online homepage. So for those people who are nearing the end of their 39 weeks right now, they could potentially get up to 7 more weeks on the program, but a lot of people aren't going to get any extra weeks, and I'm going to try and clarify why that is in just a second. The reason why a lot of PUA claimants won't get the full 7 weeks of extra PUA unemployment benefits is because the entire program ends on December 31st, with the last possible date to certify for benefits December 26th. So your claim would have needed to have a start date earlier than March 29th, 2020 to be eligible for any extra weeks. If your claim started March 29th, 2020, and I'm talking about PUA claims, if your PUA claim started after that, you potentially won't even get the full 39 weeks because the whole program ends December 31st. The earliest possible start date for a PUA claim was February 2nd, 2020, and that's because for people that were self-employed, Prior to the pandemic, there wasn't a way to even get unemployment benefits if you were self-employed. And that's because normally your employer pays in to the unemployment system. So if you were self-employed, you weren't required to pay into that system, but the government realized that there was a need for those that were working as self-employed individuals or the gig economy. They realized that they were going to need unemployment benefits to get through the pandemic, so they created the PUA program as part of the CARES Act. But unless Congress votes to extend the end date of the program does expire December 31st. So I just want to go ahead and give you guys a couple other examples of how many weeks you could potentially get on a PUA claim. If your PUA claim started at the earliest possible start date of February 2nd, that actually means that your claim wouldn't have enough weeks left to go all the way through December 26th. You would be at your full 46 weeks under the program on the week ending December 19th. If your claim started March 22nd, 2020, you would get a total of 40 weeks of PUA unemployment benefits. So you would get the 39 weeks, and that would take you to the week right before the 26th, and then you would get one additional week because that would take you through when the program expired. So it's really going to depend on when your claim year started for PUA unemployment, how many total weeks you get under the program. There's a lot of people who are realizing that their claim balance already has enough to pay them for weeks beyond December 26th, that potentially their claim balance has enough money in it to take them all the way into January, and they want to know what's going to happen with that money. Unfortunately, unless Congress extends the program, and they might, all of that money is just going to kind of return to the federal government as unused funds, and you will not be paid out. You won't have a lump sum or anything like that. They're not going to issue that money to you because the program just completely expires on the 31st. Really, it's a limited number of claimants that are going to qualify for any additional weeks under the program, and all that EDD news release really did is notify us how they're going to be adding those additional weeks onto our claims. And what they've said is over the next 2 weeks, they'll be loading an additional 7 weeks of PUA unemployment benefits into your claim balance on your UI homepage. And they're going to start to calculate and add those benefits into your balance over the next 2 weeks. Maybe you're on a regular unemployment claim and you're thinking, well, I want 7 more weeks of unemployment. And actually, don't worry, there is an avenue for people on regular unemployment claims to get additional weeks as well. And as a matter of fact, people with traditional claims may be eligible for more unemployment benefits than someone on a PUA claim. And that's because the maximum number of weeks someone can get PUA is 46 weeks, whereas the maximum number of weeks someone can get regular unemployment is potentially up to 59 weeks. And you get to that 59-week time frame because here in California, the regular unemployment claims are 26 weeks. Then they add on 13 weeks for the PEUC extension. And then as long as California's unemployment rate remains above 6%, if your earnings requirements were high enough, you could potentially get 20 more weeks of unemployment that they have listed as 13 weeks plus 7 more weeks. And that gets you up to a total of 59 weeks on a regular unemployment claim. And that program, the Fed ED program, does not expire at the end of December. Unfortunately, if you're on a PUA claim, there's not a way to get that Fed ED program and go past December 31st. And if you're on a regular unemployment claim, you can't really choose to go onto PUA. Now, if you're denied Fed ED, if your earnings requirements don't meet the threshold, if you run out of the PEUC extension before December 26th and you get your Fed ED denial letter, you could potentially still go on to a PUA claim, but only until December 26th. I hope all of this makes sense and helps clarify it for you. For those of you that have been watching my channel for a while, you guys know that I like to just read you guys the EDD news releases. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll screenshot it up above and I'll link it in the description down below so that you can go read it yourself after this video if you would like. And here's what it has to say. Changes for pandemic unemployment assistance claims. Starting Saturday, October 31st, Californians will be eligible for an additional 7 weeks of benefits under the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance PUA program. The increase to 46 weeks is available for those who are reaching the end of their initial 39 weeks of benefits that they started as early as February 2nd. The process for recomputing the PUA claims is expected to take 2 weeks. Assembly Bill 103, signed by Governor Newsom this summer, allowed California to meet the unemployment level requirements under the Federal CARES Act to increase PUA claims by 7 weeks. In addition, the separate Fed ED extension benefits were increased from the usual 13 weeks of benefits to 20 weeks instead for those who run out of regular UI benefits. Those who have the extra weeks of PUA benefits added will either receive notification through their UI online accounts or by mail, indicating when they can certify for the benefits. The new notices will advise those currently collecting on a PUA claim that the additional 7 weeks have been added to their claim, and they should continue to certify for payments as usual. For those who did collect PUA benefits but returned to work, they too will receive a notice letting them know that the additional 7 weeks of benefits will be there if they ever need to reopen their claim before it's set to expire on December 26th. In addition, Federal CARES Act limits on PUA benefits are also being implemented, which requires any weeks of benefits collected on a regular UI claim or Fed ED claim to be deducted from a PUA claim. Some claimants may see a reduction to the PUA weeks available because of this. Those impacted include individuals who exhausted a regular UI claim or a Fed ED extension earlier in the pandemic and were eligible for a PUA claim because they didn't qualify for another regular UI claim and remained unemployed due to a COVID-19 reason covered under the Federal CARES Act. They will receive a notification by mail. So basically, if you're on a PUA claim, they're going, and you were earlier on a regular unemployment claim or Fed ED claim, they're going to cap the total number of weeks from those 3 programs combined to a maximum payout of 46 weeks. And that doesn't apply if you're on a regular unemployment claim, went to PEUC, and you're now on Fed ED. The maximum number of weeks through that path is still 59 weeks. It's just some people, they didn't get the full 26 weeks of unemployment and they didn't get the full 20 weeks of Fed ED. So that could have potentially made them eligible for a PUA claim. And if you're on a PUA claim, the maximum number of weeks through all programs combined is 46 weeks. I'm so sorry, guys, because I feel like this is about as clear as mud. It's really confusing for everyone. I make these videos weekly and it's still is a lot for me to absorb, a lot of weeks. So we're all just doing our best to get through it and keep each other educated, because I know a lot of you guys know that even when you call the EDD, their representatives don't always even have accurate information. I hope this made it a little bit more clear about who is and who isn't eligible for those extra 7 weeks. It's really going to depend on when your claim started. I hope that Congress does vote to extend this program, or that they come up with another program that is even better than this one, because I know a lot of people are really worried about what's going to happen at the end of the year. So hopefully they don't take too long to decide, although some are saying it could be after the election and maybe even after the inauguration, that we might not hear until February if these programs are going to be extended or not. And of course, in February, the programs would have already ended by then. So that's it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.